is, if you look at the television, the girl who is pivotal in getting the video evidence is white. The community, if you look at the videos, it's black and white together. The communities are not happy about what's going on, be they black or white. So it is a real revelation of how communities, black and white, try to live together, but the system is kind of working against them. It's preventing that from happening in a way.
Dereck Chauvin has been charged on all accounts for the murder of George Floyd. Today we're in Dundee asking people what they think of the situation. So Dereck Chauvin has been charged on all accounts for George Floyd's murder. How does that make you feel?
I think it's the right thing to happen, absolutely, but to be honest, I don't think we should be treating it as a surprise that a police officer that's murdered an innocent man should be, being held accountable. I think that should be a given, and obviously it is a big deal and it is a big step forward, but at the same time, this is something that should absolutely be happening and it should not be coming as a surprise.
Obviously it's a good thing that he's finally been put away behind bars, but personally I don't think it should have really got to that stage, because there was reports of him just being a genuinely bad man before the murder took place. Apparently there was tons of reports of him just being abusive towards people of all colours. So I think it's good he's been put away.
Shouldn't have been in a position of power in the first place if there was evidence that he was not fit to serve.
I think I would say bittersweet, but bittersweet does not even come close to what I'm feeling. I think it's actually so telling and so depressing that it has taken almost a year to convict somebody who was filmed killing someone, and we're calling that a victory. Like, that's a huge failure in our system. And to stand up and say, I know people are saying we should celebrate. I don't really know how I feel about that word celebrate. Again, a man was filmed killing someone and he was taken to justice a year after the fact, only because of social media presence and only because of the greatest civil rights movement we've ever seen in history. Now, are you telling me that had it not been for some kids filming this guy's murder, he would not have been put in jail? Come on, that's a failure in my eyes. So I guess bittersweet in the sense that I'm glad that he's going to go behind bars, but we shouldn't be waiting for social media outrage before people like this go to prison.
I think, obviously, he should have been charged. I think he's been charged wrongly, to be honest. I think he probably should have been killed for it, but just going with the American legislation. But so obviously it's a good thing. It's still a good thing. If you got any more questions.
So Dereck Chauvin has been convicted on all charges for murdering George Floyd. How does that make you feel?
I'm thrilled, but I was not expecting a different outcome. I really thought there was no way that couldn't be the outcome, because it was so obviously the correct choice. So I am American. I've been here a while, as you can tell by my accent, but I grew up in a place that is maybe not that American feeling. It's on a Native American reservation, so it's got its own laws, its own police force, but it feels like maybe in other places the policing system was very weighted, and this couldn't continue because it was such in the public eye. So they were always going to make that decision because they were being watched and held accountable.
Well, it's absolutely the right conviction, but I don't think it's all that needs to be done, because I think also there needs to be laws put in place afterwards, because this is just going to, well, honestly, I think there was a lot of tension here and they knew that there had to be a conviction, but also that's just not enough,
It's the
first step.
Smallest first step, but
there needs to be actual action in place in the law.
I'm happy about it because at the end of the day, it just shows that the justice system is working. They've had several situations with Trayvon Martin and some other people like Mike Brown and all that, and they weren't charged. George Zimmerman, he was given $100,000 just for just being a killer, that type of thing. So he sued the family of the parents, right? So I feel it was justice well served, and yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
Another man paying for taking another man's life. So it's not about color, whether white or black. This is victory for humanity, that at least justice still reign in the human race.
Do you think this is a big step in holding police officers accountable for bad behaviour?
I think it's good that they've made an example of him, but should it have got to this point? Probably not. Well, absolutely not. And I'm glad that he's sentenced. Maybe he hasn't been punished harshly enough, to be honest. I don't know what the exact length of the sentence is, but I think it's important that it's happened. But I think to get to this point, for steps to be taken is a real shame.
Like I said, it's good he's away, but I don't think there's been much change. I think there's been a lot more awareness, but I don't think anything really has happened, because he wasn't the first and he probably won't be the last, unfortunately. So I think there needs to be some change in that way.
Yes and no. I think it's a big step in the sense that he's one of, I saw a statistic that Chauvin is only one of, I think, 8 police officers who have been convicted of killing somebody, and convicted successfully and been put behind bars in the last 15 years, despite almost 2,000 people being killed by police in that time. So let's do some simple mathematics. 1 out of I don't know how many thousands, that's pretty bad in my opinion. And a big step, I mean, you could say that, but there's still the likes of Breonna Taylor, who her killers are still out serving. There's still been, in the span of this month, 3 that we know of, young black people being killed by police. So are we really moving in the right direction? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like an issue of source and supply. I mean, if we're still having people being killed by police, doesn't matter how many you convict, we need to attack the problem at the root.
Personally, it should be, but personally, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, because I just think that system, the system they've got and the way that they live, it's still going to take a lot of time. Do you know what I mean? But I think maybe it'll start, it'll show that people can get, we'll show the officers that people are going to start causing fusses and that, you know what I mean? But I don't think, right now, I don't think that's the biggest step, no. But I think it's a step, but it's not the biggest step, no.
Not a big step, no. I mean, also, yeah, different countries, you need to see how Britain's working in terms of our context, but it's not a big step. It's what had to happen.
There are so many conversations about, oh well, they should do what we do here, but it's just such a wrong attitude. We should always think of how to better your own system and not just clap yourself on your back and say, oh, aren't we great, because we're not. You can always do better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I think it's in terms of the public movement that came afterwards, the big fight for Black Lives Matter and everything. That was great, and it's really nice to see that conversation happening. But it's not a short-term thing. This becoming accountability is going to be a long-term. There needs to be a lot more time before you can make that judgment.
Yes, I actually do. I do, because I mean, it's just a step, right? But there's still a lot of bad eggs out there, and the story about if you put a rotten egg into a crate, it's gonna make every egg there bad. So it's just you always have to think about situations like that and how it can actually change and reform the police. And when we're talking about reforming the police, we're talking about defunding them and just trying to reduce the amount of money they actually have, because if you actually looked at the budget of the New York Police Department, they have I think $1 billion, right? That's a lot of money for for the police, right? Talk less of the military. So it's yeah, I would say yes, it's a big step forward. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not just about bad behavior. We're looking into the future and looking forward. This is one of too many, and I think this is about the policing system in America getting redesigned and retrained so that this gruesome act will stop happening. So it's not the end of, I don't say the end of police brutality, because this is systematic, and it takes time to cleanse the system, and it's for every good cop out there to stand up as well. So we want to see the good cops stopping the bad apple, the so-called bad apples. Thank you.
Thank you. So those are some of the opinions from the people of Dundee on the recent Dereck Chauvin case and George Floyd murder.